All right, welcome everybody. My name is Wendy, and you are watching Wendy Makes Art. I'm really excited about tonight's show and just chatting with everyone and showing you what we've got. The whole premise behind tonight's show is finding inspiration, how to generate ideas when you're stuck, or maybe you don't know what the next big thing is, or maybe you're just in a rut, or maybe you're just comfortable staying at home. So let's talk about that, and we're gonna build a piece after I give you a tour of my fantastic art adventure this weekend. So we'll give everybody a chance to get online. If you are going to draw with me tonight, feel free to grab some photo references that you might have, or just your phone camera that you can flip through. You can grab something to draw with. I have just a pencil. I've got some of my favorite erasers. I grabbed some watercolor palettes, but tonight's planning session is just that, planning and then starting to lay it out on a piece for a miniature painting, and I'll give you a little idea about the background behind that and why I want to do that tonight. Watercolors, I got some different papers. I've got my sketchbook here that I'm going to show you from this weekend, and then like a watercolor pad and some extra stuff. So with that being said, I will have to run and get some water because Cat, I may not need this. She is naughty, but if I give her something to knock over, she's going to knock it over. I know it. And I'm living dangerously. I have my travel cup with no lid. So we are living wild and crazy up here on the art table because Pogo will come visit if she thinks that I have water. She likes paint water the most. If it's clean water, which I offer regularly, not as exciting as if I've dipped a brush in it. So I'm going to watch these cats like a hawk. Hey, Go West and Lebowski's been waiting all week for Art Tip Tuesday. So since you are on here, Go West, I have to give you some props and kudos because you got me out of the house. Go West had she had something in mind and gave me some options and said, can we go this weekend? We have a painting trip coming up this coming weekend. But we settled on going to the Botanic Gardens here in town. I have a membership. It doesn't cost me anything to go. Why don't I go regularly? I don't know. I just get cold and whiny and warm and comfy and want to be in my studio. But we made an art date. So idea number one, if you're looking for inspiration, group up with a friend. It could be an artist. It doesn't have to be an artist. It could just be a good old friend. And set a date and time to meet up somewhere outside of your house. It doesn't have to be the biopark. It doesn't have to be, somewhere fancy. It could be a local park. It could just be a coffee shop. But make a date with a friend is your first get out of art jail card. Like if you are stuck and needing inspiration and looking for input, get out of the house. If you don't have anybody, then make a date with yourself and write it in your planner. So that's my first big tip for you. So we went on this adventure. I met up with her. It was in the morning. We said, let's meet at 10 so I don't have to get up too early. And went down, and it was a beautiful day. We hadn't checked the weather. We kind of just flew by the seat of our pants, and it was gorgeous. And I didn't have any expectations. I went in going, I'm going to tinker around. I brought some panels. I brought my sketchbook, and I was like, I'll just see what I see. So we enjoyed ourselves. They're set up for River of Lights, which is the holiday light show. And we were very inspired by that. But I'm going to start to go through and show you some of these ideas and kind of show you where I ended up on this inspirational trail. But I think the whole point is if you are open to new ideas and fresh ideas and just open to the universe and you get outside or get yourself somewhere different than your normal space, you're going to trip up on some kind of inspiration. So yes, it does not have to be a human friend. Mind Lebowski had a great question. He goes, does it have to be a human friend? Great point. It doesn't have to be a human friend. If you've got a pet, go on a walk. There you go. Take your cat in one of those really cool cat backpacks. So fun. I don't think Pogo would like that. We've tried a harness on her. She forgets how to walk. All right. So let's see. I'm going to start with, we first go in, we had walked around, saw all this fabulous stuff, and then I pulled my camera out. I didn't pull my camera out at first. I should have. There's colors and images everywhere. But we had gone into the cactus area because we wanted to see if it was warmer. And it was really nice. And I'm going to pull this up and show you. And there were these big planters with all these cacti in them. Now, one of the coolest things about this, if you look in here, Go West and I are always looking at greens, studies in greens. And a lot of people really want to learn how to paint green. And this doesn't read great in the photo I picked for you. I have more photos. But this little guy over on the right-hand side that pokes out, he actually was a tinted purple. And we've got green with light coming through it. But also, I work on these dinosaur paintings on the weekends, and I loved the different shapes and all the different ideas. So there is little spiky things going on. There's round shapes. Down below, if I move this up here, there's these plants with teeny tiny little leaves, and they've got a light color with a darker color in the middle. So yeah, like Go West is saying, there's yellow greens, there's blue greens, there's all these different greens. And so we started taking photos. And then, of course, you can play with your camera. This was in portrait mode on the cactus, but look how pretty that glow is. And again, that in itself is gorgeous if you just wanted something, and you can look at pattern, or I love in the background, you've got that different kinds of greens going on. This I thought was gorgeous. It had a little bit of backlighting, and I thought just the shapes and the patterns would be a beautiful watercolor painting. So already I started thinking about, I wasn't looking for necessarily making a painting. I was just kind of walking through the garden saying, oh, look at that. And we did that. Go West and I were walking through, and we're like, oh, ooh, ah, like it was just fabulous. And I looked up out of the window in this garden, and I said, look at those prickly pears. And so we started looking at the prickly pears. And this is a really good example of shadow versus in light. And the color changes because they're all blue in the bottom and in shadow. And then they're a lot different green in the top part where they're not in shadow. And so you start to look at things like that. And again, back to green variations. These guys were fabulous. Just looking through that, and you can kind of see there's a little bit of sky. There's a little bit like a neutral color in the back. And again, the greens are different. You've got blue greens, yellow greens. And of course, I really liked the shapes because I'm looking at shapes and plants and how to incorporate these into my dinosaurs. So I thought that was a really cool visual to look at that. But that alone could be a painting. We walked by our tractor. I was like, ooh, a tractor, because I love tractors. So, of course, I had to take a photo of the tractor. Who knows when I need this for a reference, but I took a picture. Let's see. What is next? Okay, so then there's these guys. They have a farm at our botanic gardens, and the opportunity to photograph them wasn't great. I did do one of two things. One, I would raise way over my head and put my iPhone, luckily I did not drop it, over and get some photos of the goats and the sheep. You could also position it just right in the little tiny grid squares. If you got the image on just right, you could get some shots of them. But that was kind of fun. And then there's these guys. Check these guys out. Look at him. He's smiling. He's so funny. I thought this in itself, this little picture right here would be a great painting because you could give them each a name. And she's, she's like, oh man, really? Are you going to give the humans that look again? He's got like little teeth. I should zoom it in so you can see. I'm going to zoom it in. So funny. Look at his little teeth. So funny. Look at that too. He's got these crazy demon horns. Yeah, Lebowski, you're right. That's a demon. I don't know what this sheep is called, but that poor guy, man, can you imagine the weight on your head? But look at her. She looks so annoyed. I love it. So good. So right there is like a really fun, inspirational piece. I saw this, and it's pretty much something of nothing, but what I loved about it was the light was hitting this little set of part dead leaves and part live plants. And I just really liked the textures. You've got sticks and different leaves, and some of them are yellow down on bottom, but I really liked the light in it. So I was looking at that play of light, and I thought it was really kind of neat. Lebowski says on this guy, where is he? Bring him over here, that it's a genetic throwback and they're bred to have that recessive gene. Okay. So we went around the corner and there were these trees. And just the trees alone, I don't think you can see it really well here. I took a reference photo. It would be better to draw something like this in person, but you've got over on the right-hand side these crazy trees that they're arched and they seem to be reaching and having their own story. And I thought that had something to it. There were some legs there. Here's another tree. Now this wasn't in the biopark, but it was a tree day and the last of the fall leaves are dropping. And so you've got a lot of great stuff. You've got these leftover chunks with leaves. The way the light is hitting this one I thought was great, and it's got these gnarly shapes. So I thought it was a fabulous tree. I took a picture. Now this is a scene that I'm going to talk about, and I've got 2 sets of images that I'm going to show you, and then we're going to work on putting the painting together, or at least getting started on it. So this is the scene. The River of Lights have taken over the entire Botanic Gardens and set up they have giant elephants the size of elephants, like a whole row of elephants that light up at night. And we are going to go next week to see it because I haven't been in years because I'm a wimp. But it was so fabulous, and there are so many things to see. Back in this section though, they have set up an alien abduction scene. And it's back by the farm. Let me zoom this in. You're not going to see me for a second, but that's okay. All right. So there's these crazy trees that are leaning over here, and they've made a spaceship with an alien with his head out, and there's 2 aliens on the ground down below it. And then you can barely tell, but if you look in the structure that's holding the alien ship up, it is a cow outline. So they're beaming up a cow. And I thought this was the most delightful thing. I just thought it was hysterical. And so this is where my inspiration ended up. And I did a quick, we weren't out there long and we wanted to go eat. So I just opened my sketchbook. Let me put this up in the corner so you can see what I'm going to show you. See if I can fit it in here on the thing. So I opened my sketchbook. I did a little bit of change. I scrunched this in on the design. There was more room, but I wanted them to fit in here and put this up here. And I really painted it knowing that I was just trying to figure it out. I moved the aliens. I changed the trees a little bit and moved them in. And then I took one of the goats that I had seen, and I have a little goat being beamed up. Now we're going to convert this and we're going to use this for inspiration for a teeny tiny itsy bitsy 4x6 painting. This little. There is a show coming up next year, and one element of it is miniatures. And last year I entered miniatures and they were normal. I've got a few of them laying around here. But I wanted to have something that was a little more fun, because the miniature there's magic in it. When you have something that small, you have to go interact with it. So you have to, and you want to give them a reward. If they're going to go in and look at your miniature painting with the teeny tiny little details, I want to give them a reward. Annie C, I see. Happy Tuesday. Glad to see you. So with that being said, as soon as I saw this scene, my little brain went, bing, wait a second, what a fun miniature. Because how fun is it for them to have like a little spaceship, and instead of it being on stilts, it won't make sense. It's just gonna be like, you don't realize where it's from if you're an outsider, if you don't know the story behind it. Like, this was at the biopark and it was during the day, and so they weren't lit, but at night you wouldn't see the legs of this. And so I wanted it to be a fall story, keep it really true, only it's going to be in the daylight so you can see. I might make it dusk. I don't know. We'll have to decide on that. So today we're going to work on the composition for 4x6, which is why I took the tracing paper and also a piece of paper. I'm not just going to draw and paint it. We're going to do a little bit of planning so that the composition is really good. Go West, that is brilliant, and I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it. I love it. So Go West in the comments just said, what if there is an alien language around the side of the frame or on the border? Brilliant. So fun. Because they judge these as a whole. Like, they judge it in context as a whole. So that is brilliant. And I could even do some kind of silver frame. Maybe Lebowski, this might be a fun project, is we come up with our own alien language and we etch a metal frame. Like, that might be really cool and fun. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about, would I have come up with this for a miniature had I not gone on my art date with Stephanie? And I don't think I would have. Like, I might have, but not really like this. And then would I be able to think it through and make it so much fun? I would have probably never come up with this miniature had we not gone to the biopark and then ran across this. And it was unexpected. But I said, hey, universe, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm going to do that. So here we are. Sketched it out. I changed, instead of a cow, because they had goats, I put a little goat in here. I moved my aliens, and we're going to do that in our sketch. And I have some extra alien photos. But I love the alien language on the frame. And then the other thing I want to do in the painting is I really think I'm going to use some... Go West, you know what it's called. It's like a metal that you put on gold leaf, only we'll do silver leaf. I think I'm going to do some silver leaf on this with the alien spaceship because that is so good. So we've got, like I can even write in here, silver leaf for the spaceship. Love the alien on the frame or border. That is fantastic. So we know our size and we know this. I'm going to show you a few more photos just from this scene. And then the last thing I want to do before we really get into working on the art for this is talk about the surprise. This was the surprise that I had after, I said to Go West, I said, okay, I'm going to go down and take some more photos of the goats and the sheep. So I headed down to the goats and the sheep, and off in the distance, here's more aliens. Let me give you So this is kind of fun. Check them out. And this alone would be a fun 4x6 is, you know, just creating a painting of this will be really, really fun. Love him peeking up over there. Here's an alien. So these were their little aliens. I just kind of took them for inspiration and reference. Yeah, that face peeking over the edge of that spaceship is so funny. Here's another little alien. So like you can see, this was what I was sketching. See, he's got the same position with his hands. So I just snapped a quick little shot of him there. But when I turned back from, or I was heading to get photos of the animals, you guys are going to love this. You can't really tell until I blow it up big. So again, I had already been seeing trees. I've been paying attention to trees. I thought that the cottonwoods with the end of fall was really fabulous. But then I had a surprise. And those of you who follow me, you know, I am working on a major series of dinosaurs. And I saw this. They have set up one of their light dinosaurs. And this dinosaur, oh my goodness, he's got to be, if I were to guess, I bet he's over 20 feet tall. He's massive. And he's eating the leaves. But it was enough inspiration for me that I went, I'm going to make that a miniature. So that's going to be my other miniature of the Brontosaurus eating the trees. Just so fun. Go West is having a blast over in comments, everybody. I've got aliens camouflaged into the green bushes, like a series. And she's talking about Lotus. We had watched The White Lotus, and we love the intro. If anybody has seen The White Lotus and you watch the intro, I think especially on the first 2 rounds, like season 1 and season 2, take a look at the White Lotus intros. That's inspiration in itself. While we're talking about inspiration, sometimes you'll get stuff like that from a TV show. We've talked extensively about wanting to create our own, almost like a fabric pattern or a design that is like that. They have surprise elements. It'll look beautiful and like a typical fabric pattern or wallpaper pattern, and then all of a sudden you see this wicked stuff going on in it, and it's shocking, and you're going, oh wow, I didn't see that before. So just really surprising kind of fun things. Go West is over there, the hidden monkey in the fleur-de-lis. So little things like that in the White Lotus intros. If you get a chance, watch those. So I'm going to do one of a giant dinosaur munching on a tree. It probably won't be fall leaves. It'll be summer. But we've got that. And I've got scale. It helps me think about scale and composition to turn into one of these teeny tiny little detailed paintings. So we're going to use this. We're going to use the reference photos. And we are going to start putting together just the idea of how I want this piece. This is 4x6. So the miniatures cannot go in the show that these will be entered in. They cannot be more than 25 square inches. And if they are on a raised panel, like if they're not in a frame, but on a panel, I don't know why this is, they're on a panel, they have to be, I think even less than that. They count the sides on a panel. So you gotta be really careful on how you finish it, or what your size is when you're painting it. So that's what we're gonna work on. I hope that gives you guys a little bit of inspiration to go somewhere you didn't plan. You could do the same thing in a coffee shop, like draw everything in the pastry container, sit across from it and then draw all the pastries. Or just watch the people, or look at their clothing to try to get an idea of colors and patterns. Just, there's something everywhere, but it helps to get out of your normal situation and go out and see things because you're gonna see something different and get inspired by the outside world. So I hope that gives you guys a little bit of get up and go inspiration. Yes. So if you did 4x4, which is 16 inches, but you had to count the sides and they have a special math formula, really need to read the prospectus. For those of you who don't know what a prospectus is a written set of rules for a show that you may enter, and it will give you how big or small the artwork is, any kind of specifications like paintings only, no digital entries, no photographs. It may say something like watercolor, but you can't do oils or acrylics. Or you can do any media, but you can't you can't put it under glass. So they have all different stuff like that, delivery dates, all the information that you need to know is in the document called the prospectus. So for those of you new entering into the world of showing your art, that is something, check it out, look at it, read through them, or go to a site or an entry that you find and take a look at the rules on what that is. Scroll Soul, welcome. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, the outside is full of the peoples. Full of the peoples. It was very quiet when we were there on Sunday. Very quiet at the biopark. Probably because everybody's going at night and it's winter, so it's a little chilly. That really helps. Sometimes you'll try to beat the system and be like, oh, I'm going to go on a weekday. And my daughter has done that before, and she's like, every time she does that, she feels like she ends up going on school field trip day. It has happened to her so many times. I feel really bad, but it cracks me up. Honestly, it just really cracks me up. Okay, so let's see. We have a half an hour to draw. And I'm going to start with an exercise that we talked a little bit about in last week's episode, which is rolling snake eyes. Yeah. Just setting the stage and making a composition or a pattern with a composition. So because I have already painted this, I feel like I know the scene better. That's something else. If you have the time while you're on site and you fall in love with something, do a little sketch. It does not have to be a masterpiece. It doesn't, nothing major. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But in sketching, you are going to learn more about your subject than if you just take a photo and then reproduce it later. And there are fun things. One of the things I loved about this was I really got into these negative shapes. So if you take a look at this right here, and this is not precious, so I can just draw right on it. I'm going to take red. But I started looking at the scene in front of me and blocking in. You guys see this? These shapes. And if you're ever struggling with a group of trees, I would highly recommend start looking at the negative shapes. What are the shapes in between the tree limbs, and draw those, and then your tree is going to come to life without you drawing a tree. It's crazy. We'll do that on these sketches. So just wanted to show you that little trick. And then let's grab my pencil. Do I do black? Just graphite? Yeah, let's just do some graphite and kind of play with it. And I'm going to set my drawing up here. Hopefully Devil Cat won't show up and knock it over. We have this here. I swear, I just heard her jump. She was like, oh, what's Mom doing? Mom doing something that I can jump on it? Maybe. I'll move this down here. Right there to give us a little more room. And we'll turn this guy off. All right. Okay. So I knew right away that I wanted, oh, and we'll talk about composition too, in thirds. So if I divide this in thirds here and here, this is a pretty wide format. That's okay, doesn't bother me. I know that I want my trees to at least, I want them to break the top. So if this was one big shape with trees and reaching over, I know that my hot points, I call them, I don't know what's called them, hot points. But if I divide this in thirds and do a tic-tac-toe grid on it, I'm going to put a little X marks the spot here, 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 and here. Okay? And I want to try to get some really cool things or places your eyes will go to in these areas. So the first thing I know is I'm going to put that spaceship on the right-hand side up here. Okay? And I'm going to try to scale it so that it's not crazy, but I'm also not going to worry about the scale that they had. I just want my little spaceship with this little tiny peeking alien right here. And I don't know if I'll just have his little head or I'll give him a long neck. Right now we're just basic shapes. We're just building this out. Okay? Now, we've got to figure out where we've got a mountain, we've got a fence plane. You know, I've got aliens down below, but let's kind of start with the tree and play a little bit with the tree so that we can kind of get the feel for that. Now, this one tree, let's see, I kind of like them all the way over here. So I'm going to try it. And like I said, if I want to start playing with negative shapes, the first thing I need to do is gauge how big this size is. So I'm just going to play with this right here. Okay. And then I've got a little shape in here. I've got another one in here. I can even draw them in, which might be neat. It might be neat to have some darkness and some idea of and cast light from the spaceship as well. So here's my third, and we've got to get under the spaceship. We need a mountain range. Mountain range. So we're going to have the Sandia Mountains. And then a little, the fence line back in the back. Which is nice. That kind of goes through in there. We've got our goat. He's going to have to be floating up. And of course, we've got some kind of a beam of light that'll come out of this. So maybe our little goat is hanging out in here. There's my goat. Okay. And with the beam of light. And I like that the trees are leaning in. This first one that we're sketching, I'm just gonna play with this and try to get the idea of it. And then we can kind of start to do composition, maybe move things. We know we want some aliens. Like, do I want, one of the fun things might be to have one of these aliens up front. So like he's walking into the scene right here, which might be really fun. Like he's coming in. And I also want to make sure that whatever I do, I want you to spend time. So one of the things that's nice about this set of trees is that they bring you this way. So I've got this direction. Let me get my red pen and kind of show you, or my red pencil. So look at this. These trees are all pointing this way, right? Now I need something to bring me back down to here. I do like that if I put an alien, whether it's this size or even a standing one, that you see more of him, like this guy coming in. I don't know if you guys can tell what's going on there. That brings me something to go back over here. I do need something in here to bring us back again. And even these trees are going to come over right in there. So I'm just drawing some shapes. Maybe there's some stuff like that. Oh, sorry everybody. And this might be cool as a night scene because we can do some really neat things with glows and light to help shape this too. Casting the light in here. Gosh, I got plenty of sleep, but look at me. I'm just yawning like a crazy person. And the fence, and make it dark on this outside part with shadows, maybe some little aliens running around, so you see their little green glow. So if I've got some fun shapes, here's an easy way to do this. You can color this whole corner in. Like this. And then I can come in and, where did I put it? There it is. Get my little eraser and, you know, maybe there's an alien in here. He can be teeny tiny. So we see like a little bit of the alien in the darkness, or just one side of him, or an arm. Or maybe he's leading another goat. I don't know. So things that we can play with in the darkness. I could also cheat and like do this with all marker and then put little white squiggle lines in there as we go. Okay. So I'm going back over here. Got a big tree coming up. Make sure it's nice and clean on the trunk. Same with this. If this is dark, but the light is coming from the spaceship, you know, we can have all of the right sides of these trees lit like they are, only they'll be really dark in that back part. And we can blue up and put little dots of light in the sky so that it's more purples and blues. And then the trees and the foliage on the trees can be more of a black, dark shadow color. So you can't really tell what they are. You know they're trees because you're going to see all the shapes of the branches, but you won't see everything. Same in here. You can always go in and just erase your branches out. So I can come in here and erase this branch, this tree right there, which is kind of fun. So the things I really like, this will be light. I'm not going to give it a base like it has. Like this is light, whatever I do. And it could be that the sheep might need to be down here, or there's a second sheep in the light for that composition. If we've got spaceship here, right? Then we've got our sheep in here. We need some aliens in here. I'm gonna need some more things over in here. Maybe another alien. Maybe we have a bunch of aliens. How do they fit all this stuff in their little ship? I don't know. You know, whether I have somebody peeking out or not, I don't know at this point. Right now I'm just trying to get a ship. Just an alien with a ship. And even if it were twilight, I think that might still be fun to play with, because I've got dark trees above the fence. The fence, you will see like some more of the fence line, and I can change the color on it. It could be just a wooden, it could be, heck, it could be a white painted fence, which depending on the glow of their colors would change. But the further back it gets from the light, the darker it's going to get. So we'll have some glow to work with the light beam. And then this would be like a deep reds and blues, some kind of purples. I love the idea of having like a green light. I think that would be really fun. And then cast shadows. Like I got to think about if this light is beaming out from here. Then depending, like if this guy is standing here, we see a little bit of his shadow. This guy, trees back here. So I'm thinking about like how dark it gets back behind everything. Humming Wolf, if she were on here, she's been doing a lot with light lately, and I think she would be really good. Scroll Soul, there's some really good stuff. You said, knowing your material so big, I listened to Tarantino talking about using scores from other films in his own, and how using scores he already liked made it really easy to envision the film as he wrote. Awesome. Yeah, just... So he's using that for his inspiration, and then he's able to create. So light coming in, light's gonna go out. You know, where's the alien gonna be? Where's the light on the alien gonna be? If there's one over here. If there's one over here, but it's dark back behind. And then light on the front. Kind of that idea. I love that idea of it being more dark outside of this circle, because that helps us form idea. I don't think my trees have it yet as far as that archy thing going on. So they've got to have more going on with that. And I don't know if I have them low enough. That's the other thing. We've got fence, we've got line over here. You know, like if this is, do I need more variety? So creating that depth, I'm trying to get that idea of where this all is in space. That's going to be my darkest color, is going to be that fence. It's going to be really dark. And probably the mountain. The mountain may be darker than the sky. The sky will be brighter. We want little stars and stuff. Okay. So we've got like a start, a basic start. Now let's go over, I'm messy too. Look at this, guys. Look at that. I am the messiest. I should be a lot more, not messy? A lot more not messy. So I'm going to look at my sketch, and I think my trees were bigger and lower on my sketch. And I'm going to kind of play with that idea on this one. So I think this needs to be over here. And this guy with that fun shape is over in here. And another fun shape. But the trees come all the way down to here. All right. And I kind of have one that's almost coming off. I wonder if I need to back it out even more. There's one over in here. Like that. And then this one is further back. So this one is on this plane, and then this one almost comes down to there. And then there's one in here, and then this guy. But these go out, 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 out to here. And I can reshape these. Like I like some of this other stuff in here. Like this shape in here. So as I keep changing this, this is where I can get into the fun design part. Making sure that I like the shapes and I change them up. And I don't feel married to what really was there. I want to make a strong composition and a good drawing. And so on this one, my fence is going to be probably in here. And I'll move to marker at some point. I'm going to move to marker. I want like some little openings in here. Really work on this. So the backs of these tree trunks will be dark. So they're going to be dark except for where the light hits them. And then they'll be very bright. And a little bit. Okay. Lebowski, I don't know if you are back, but we've got some kind of craziness going on that I need you to kill in the corner, which is fine. How about you guys? Tell me, while you're still here, I would love to know what your most inspirational places have been. Like, is it somewhere? Is it something? Is it watching television? Is it, like Scroll Soul, you talked about listening to music. So what is your go-to favorite inspiration that you found really works for you? All right. This one I'm making the spaceship just a little bigger. I thought, well, let's try it. Let's try making a bigger spaceship. Kind of fun. That light is going to be coming out from all through there. Maybe a little more narrow underneath. I don't know. Okay, so cooking. Is that a cooking emoji? I'm so blind, Scroll Soul. I cannot tell. Yeah, I think the robots know. You gave the robots a BRB, and they're like, oh, we're right here, Mr. BRB. Okay, so again, mountain range, fence line, vertical is going to be the darkest thing. Fun shapes of treetops that I want up in this corner. I do want to say I love this pencil. My friend J. Frederick Art, who I don't think she made it tonight, but she gave this to me and I love it. It holds a 0.9, so it's a thicker lead than normal. And yes, I'm messy and we know this. It's just the way it is, but I really love it. Okay, so we got a little goat coming in here. I like his little tail sticks up. I did notice that, like the little tails stick up in the back. It's kind of like a rectangle. His little head would be dangling. Poor little goat. This is getting beamed up. And then the fence lines. Fence gets lighter as it gets towards the light. Mountains will be kind of dark, even if it's dusk. Could do some pale colors in here. And then we need our aliens. So in this case, I need somebody to kind of be standing here. And I'm kind of wondering, like, do we need surprise aliens? I know you mentioned that. Like, look, we've got in the photo that we have sitting up there, we've got that bush. So we could always have like foliage or bushes or whatever, so you don't really see all the aliens. So you can have some stuff like this coming in. This looks like cartoon bushes. It's so funny. And then you could have like these little alien heads. So you don't really see the aliens. You just get a sense of them. What do you guys think of that? I think that's fun. Because we would have like the edges of the bushes would be lit from the other side. Then it could be all dark. And then we've got these little aliens popping out. Or, you know, like you have a little taller guy coming in here and his shoulder. And then more bushes. That's fun, guys. That is super fun. Okay. So, basic concept gives you the idea. You'll see this one is a wonky spaceship, but a little bigger of a spaceship on this one, which I like. I love this idea of a cornfield. It could be a cornfield. Like a cornfield, you know, when all the husks are kind of funky. And then you see the little aliens. That might be really fun. But I like the characters. So I like the goat because it's different. And Lebowski wants a llama. Okay. Llamas do make things funnier. Remember, he's going to be like half an inch tall. But I could do a llama. I've got some llama resources. Scroll Soul, good music playlist. So we're talking about inspiration ideas. Thank you for sharing. But they're more for setting the tone while you're drawing. And you can still be uninspired while listening to music. Definitely seeing the world through film. Walking tours on YouTube can give you, so you don't have to go out with the people. So walking tours on YouTube can give you the vicarious feeling of exploring while at home. I love that. That's so cool. Great idea. So maybe you can't get out, or maybe you don't want to go out with the crazy pants world out there. Then that is a great idea, is just do a walking tour on YouTube. So there's always good stuff out there to be had. I hope that you all had a little bit of fun tonight, got inspired. Again, Go West, thank you so much for the adventure last weekend. I have like so much material, so many great things that I can work off of just from that one weekend trip. My problem is the day job. I just don't have enough time. It's always my problem, right? And then I would probably not be as inspired. So whatever that is. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great week. I am hoping that I can do Friday night dinos if I have bandwidth and I'm not too tied up. I am traveling and that always makes it hard. So it'll be hard to tell. If you get the notification, if you're following and you have that turned on, it'll ding. Tune in, see what we're up to. I am so many pieces in the work. But I have started sketching out and working on ideas for the next dinosaur painting, which is going to be based off of George Seurat's The Circus. This was a piece that he died before he finished it. 1850 to 1851, I think are the dates off the top of my head. Big giant painting. It was 5 by 6 feet. It's like 6'1", I think, by 5 or something like that. So it was a really big painting. But that is what we are going to be working on. And then one last thought, Scroll Soul, you've been exploring abandoned buildings. That is really cool. And if any of you are familiar with Larry Moore, the painter Larry Moore, he does a lot with old abandoned buildings, and then he'll incorporate endangered species or animals, and it's got some kind of there's a narrative to it, which is fabulous. But his painting styles, his mark making is fabulous. So check out Larry Moore, artist. I am a big fan. And everybody, thank you. Thank you for your ideas. Have a great week. Lebowski, as always, thanks for being on the lookout for the Prowly robots.